have to boil them so you can end up with one long strand of silk that can then be used to make silk clothing. You technically can get silk without boiling them alive, but then you would have to let them hatch first, and then you wouldn't get one long strand of silk, you would get multiple strands. And apparently it's harder to weave a shirt unless it's with one long strand, and that's why they're boiled. And I really don't like that that's the case. I don't know how people boil them alive like that because the moths are so cute. That's also why I don't wear silk, but like the natural cycles of life, it is sort of inevitable. And that's why I was happy that we were letting them complete their life cycles naturally. And it took about 2 days, but then the cocoon was complete and it looked like this. Usually it takes 10 to 14 days for the little moth to emerge from the cocoon, and then the adults, they actually only live for about 5 days. Their lifespan is so short and they don't even eat anything because they don't have functioning mouth parts to feed with. So I guess their natural instinct is to lay eggs and continue the life cycle of their offspring before they pass away. So I was really excited to soon have our little moths, and I was doing so much research at this point to make sure I did everything right with the environment the cocoons were living in, like the temperature, humidity, light. And after this little cocoon was ready, the very next day I woke up and I noticed that a second silkworm was beginning to prepare its silk cocoon. So I took it, separated it from the others, cleaned off all the poop, and I didn't want it to get tangled, you know? I removed the silk strands from this one so it wouldn't struggle during the move like the last one did, and that was a good idea because it really quickly spun a new one. I had the time lapse rolling again, of course, and it was such an amazing phenomenon to witness. This time, it took 3 days to complete the transition from worm to cocoon, and I sat there thinking that this is exactly why I love witnessing different animals transition, because the process is just so fascinating. Look at the gifts that nature gives us. Anywho, I was excited because in that moment I thought that in 5 to 15 days, our little cute tiny baby moths would emerge. But I was wrong, honestly, because that wasn't what happened. I knew anything could happen in a situation like this, and it seemed like we were on the right track, so I was praying for success. We now had 2 silkworms that were in their cocoons, and soon 15 days passed, but the moths are supposed to emerge between days 10 and 14. So by day 20, when we didn't have any moth emerge from either of the 2 cocoons, I was concerned and I felt that it was time to take action. And that was confirmed when I was examining the cocoons and got worried when I saw a darker spot. Sometimes the cocoons can get plagued with something called black death, and that's just when they don't make it to the moth stage and they die in the cocoon. Sometimes the moth can even get stuck in the silk threads and have trouble emerging alone. I didn't want one of them to be alive in there and not able to get out, and there I was as a worried